The fifth episode of The Bad Batch, titled Rampage, showed another step in the evolution of the Batch and their place in the galaxy, as well as Omega and her place in the crew. Driven by the information that a bounty hunter is after them, they head to Ord Mantell to find a Jedi contact Echo knows about named Sid. When he reveals he's never met the person, Tech says that would have been information to share earlier, and if that's not the pot calling the kettle black, I don't know what is. But I also think it highlights a theme of communication within the entire series, and this episode specifically. The very first scene shows us Omega being given her own communicator, which she uses to charming effect throughout the story. And she's the only one able to figure out who Sid is. How? Intuition? The Force? I'm not sure. We still don't have a clear idea of what Omega's specialities or powers are, but Sid opens up once she's revealed, and I think it's interesting that she's a rather shady individual. That's not surprising given this point in time and on Ord Mantell, but it's a little surprising that the Jedi would work with an underworld Wookiee pelt-owning Trandoshan. We saw throughout the Clone Wars that the Jedi were willing to break their ideals and shift who they were as an order so they could win, and I would see Sid as another example of that. A cautionary tale even, but I'll come back to that. This episode followed the tried and true format of The Mandalorian. Our heroes need something, so they meet someone who has what they need, but they ask for a favor first. And off they go to rescue a child named Muchi from some slavers. Omega is at first ordered to stay on the ship, but of course the rest of the batch are captured, leaving their youngest member to save the day. We see how fully she's being integrated into the group, communicating with them from far away through hand signals. She's learning fast, and like in previous episodes, she's able to find a resourceful and surprising solution to their problems. She lets a young Rancor loose in the slave camp. The Rancor turns out to be Muchi, which I love. What a fun and unexpected connection back to other Star Wars content, and more important, it's a connection that means something. The Bad Batch are literally working for Jabba the Hutt in this episode. It's not the worst job, securing a dangerous animal for a criminal overlord. It's not an assassination, or an actual kidnapping, or anything like that, and the whole thing is treated as a fun and wacky misadventure, especially for Wrecker having to fight the creature, but it's still working for a gangster and a known bad person within the galaxy. And because I'm sure people will ask, is Muchi meant to be Patissa, the same Rancor as the one in Return of the Jedi? Maybe that was the intent of the creators, but I'm gonna go with no for my own headcanon purposes. I think it works both ways. People just watching The Bad Batch without reading the books can assume they're the same Rancor. It changes nothing. But people who have read Aftermath, which states Patissa is male, can assume they're different. It doesn't really matter. Tech teaches Wrecker how to communicate with the Rancor, which happens to be through brute force, and the two tire each other out. With Muchi secure and the actual slaves set free, the batch returns to Sid and they personally hand the Rancor off to Bib Fortuna, so there's no plausible deniability for the batch. If the audience knows, I think they are also meant to know who they're working for. Inside, Sid gives them their share of the bounty, offers them more work, tells Hunter who Fennec Shand is, and then kinda threatens them. She knows the batch or someone in their crew must be valuable, and she promises she can keep a secret, but she's got that leverage over them, and she knows they need resources, so they'll probably continue working with her throughout the rest of the season. Which brings me back to the Jedi and their cautionary tale. The Bad Batch has to adapt to survive in this new galaxy. They're now officially working as mercenaries, and I assume they'll be sent out on new jobs every week. But they're going to get much worse. Echo already shared his unease over the fact that they were rescuing slaves, doing a noble thing, for credits. And then it turns out Sid kept the truth of their mission from them, and then they find out they're working for Jabba. Again, they just got a criminal a pet. It's not so bad, but that's how it starts. We already did something for Jabba and it worked out. What happens the next time he offers Sid something worse? That's the trajectory I see for the near future of the series. They start working as mercenaries, they adapt to survive, but we have to figure out how much they're willing to adapt. How much are they willing to break their personal codes in order to survive? My mind was already kind of jumping there in this very episode. Before we knew the target of the mission was a Rancor, but after we knew Jabba was involved, the young girl we thought was Muchi was shown to be Faline. I was afraid the batch were going to save her, only to hand her off to Jabba as some kind of leverage against his enemies in Black Sun. That didn't happen this time, but something like that is bound to happen sooner or later. The Batch will probably be implicit in something bad, something Sid hides from them, but something they will be responsible for nonetheless. And that's on top of the multiple other problems our heroes have to face: Crosshair, Fennec Shand, and Wrecker's malfunctioning chip. It was a small moment, but it was brought back up as a reminder. Wrecker still has headaches. That chip is going to activate at some point, and it's going to be awful. I've been loving seeing his growing relationship with Omega. I loved when he high-fived her, when Sid called her the brains of the group. They're building Wrecker up for something big and tragic, and I just keep telling myself everything is going to be fine, because I have to believe that. But I think that's everything I have to say about Rampage. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments, and make sure to come back later today for our full breakdown of the episode. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel to keep up with all our Bad Batch coverage, follow us on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out our Patreon page to get access to our audio commentaries for every Bad Batch episode. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.